Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Global Business. This is for fall 2024 in person. So first off, I just want to congratulate you on being enrolled in this class. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I want to tell you a little bit about the class. When I was in college and I took all these business classes, I took Global Business. Back then it was called International Business. And I took it after I took the intro to management, the intro to marketing, all of that, operations, etc. And once I took global, it just became a passion for me. You know, there's 330 million Americans, there's 8 billion people in the world, different cultures, so fascinating. And so once you take the knowledge of business and you apply it on a global level to see how other cultures interact. For example, in the US or in the West, when negotiating, right? If I'm trying to sell you this phone here and I'm just a rep for this company and I'm telling you how great the phone is, I'm going to focus on the usual stuff. I'm going to focus on reliability. I'm going to tell you it has insurance. I'm going to tell you about a lot of stats. I might show you some spreadsheet to tell you how it's going to help your productivity, blah, blah, blah. What's interesting, so this is how, for example, the West and the US specifically, this is what evidence we accept when negotiating, right? We accept facts. What's fascinating is that if you think that works for everything and you start doing business overseas, that's when you realize that not all cultures accept facts as evidence, and we'll talk about them. Some in Latin America, some in Asia, where perhaps in parts of the world, ideology, religion, is your product aligned with my faith, or the faith, the national faith, if you want to call it that. Is your product sanctioned? Is it permitted? Did you get the green light from the state, right? So in China, for example, no business will move forward unless the state gives it the green light and says, yes, it's okay. And so, as you can see, evidence, what cultures accept as evidence when negotiating varies from culture to culture. And because we're going to spend so much time on culture, it's usually everybody's favorite chapter. I mean, think about if you've traveled, or just even if you haven't, going to a restaurant and, kind of getting a peek of what the culture is. That's gonna hopefully, this class is going to be all about that. I'll have some guest speakers. In the past, one of the guest speakers was a CEO of a nonprofit organization in Ukraine, and we were so lucky to have her. She zoomed from Kyiv, Ukraine, and she showed us, in footage of like dozens of Russian helicopters in the background, all that while trying to raise a family and talking about the challenges of running a nonprofit in the middle of a war. And I try to bring you really interesting, fascinating guest speakers that are just kind of maybe a little bit outside the norm. This is a class where we're going to interact. There's going to be discussion. Sometimes we'll fall behind because the way I look at it is if you guys are asking me something that pertains to you, your business, your interests, and we're going to cover it later on, I have a choice. I could say, oh, we'll cover that in chapter 12, or I could say, you know what? Let's talk about that today. Let's get there, because if I talk about it when you bring it up, you will remember it. I promise you this. I promise you that when you come out of the class, you'll come out with a really better understanding of the world, a broad scope of understanding of how things work in terms of trade, in terms of trade barriers, in international business, international marketing, etc. International marketing, by the way, is fun. Again, things that you would think work really well in the US might completely backfire in other cultures. And you can actually Google like marketing blunders overseas, and you will see like Procter and Gamble, multi-billion-dollar companies that screwed up big time, and still do today, by the way, some of them, just because they don't do their homework. All right, so I'm not home. It's 100 degrees outside today. My son has commandeered my office because he's finishing up his summer school, and so I had to get Wi-Fi at a coffee shop, so it's nice, but I hope it's not too loud. Really, really looking forward to meeting you guys in person on Monday when we begin. If you want to start looking around the class, it's available now. Canvas is available to you now. And I just, my only wish, my biggest wish is I want participation. I want you guys to participate. This class only works if we all participate. So again, I want to welcome you to Global Business, and here's to a great semester.